So we're here to give you guys a bit of a practical approach on brooding, the brooding period, and how to improve it. So obviously as a vet I get to go see lots of different sites, the good, the bad, the ugly, and I get to see the sites that are doing really well on their antibiotic usage and their bird health. So I'm going to give you some helpful tips and hints that are both financially and also practically possible on things like the water drinkers, bedding types, heater temperatures, and all those kind of things that help create that brooding period. Also this year we've got a brooding review program, so we've got field services staff that come out to you guys on your first hatch or second hatch and kind of give you guys some pointers on the areas that are good, the bad, and the areas that we can improve on for that brooding period. It's so important to get that first week right. If we don't get that first week right, we often see the secondary consequences later on with hexameter and coccidiosis. So that first week is really important, and that's kind of the aim of the brooding review in this video here. We recommend getting a waterproof base layer at the bottom of the shed, so something like black silage sheeting works well, it's cheap and cheerful. We recommend, depending on your water system you've got, if you've got something like a bell system and a floor drinker system that are often prone to leaking, we don't recommend stapling to the surfaces, just so it makes sure we can have easy drainage to stop flooding. If you've got something like a nipple bar system, they're not prone to flooding the floors, they're not prone to leaking, so stapling to the walls is ideal. Once you put down the waterproof layer, it's so important to make sure we don't tread in any diseases, bacteria, viruses or cocci from outside. So we suggest wearing boot covers like these, or specific shoes that you're only wearing inside the house when you're fitting out the shed for brooding periods. These are cheap and cheerful, you can get them through us or through other stores, and they really kind of prevent that disease transmission period. Foot tips are great if you're kind of coming on site from other sites, or I think per age group it works very well, but you've got to stand in them a fair amount of time to really get that disinfectant working. So boot covers is ideal. You can use it per shed if possible, depending on the size. Obviously bigger sheds are more practical. Smaller sheds and 8x8s in theory you shouldn't need to go in and out of, so you won't need to use them. There are hundreds of different bedding types out there, each with their pros and cons, but I have to say the cardboard squares, as you see here, are really the best. They work well because the chicks can't eat them, so if for whatever reason your chicks might start eating your litter, there's several reasons for that we can talk about later, but they don't eat the squares. They're good at absorbing water. They do become slightly mushy around kind of floor drinkers and bell drinkers, which is why we recommend the nipple bars. If you've got the nipple bar set up right, you shouldn't have any wet bedding underneath, and therefore this bedding works ideal. It's not dusty, you don't have the risk of diseases such as aspergillus as you would do with shavings or straw that's chopped. So really, the square cardboard for me is the best and ideal appropriate. It's also very good at heating, so it'll keep the temperature a bit longer, which is good for the chicks when you put them in for that brooding period. We've banked up in the corner, really stop any kind of birds piling up in there. I think as time moves on, brooding circles are certainly becoming a thing in the past. Most of my game farms now don't use them because they were used traditionally when you had a heater that wasn't thermostatically controlled, and with sheds that were quite drafty. I mean, as these sheds are improving and there's more of having insulation, and the heaters are now thermostatically controlled, we don't have that issue. So I actually see more issues with chicks being overheated than underheated. So for me, I always recommend removing the circles from any sheds, banking up the corners and giving the birds that space to move between heat sources, whether it's cold on the outside and hot, really hot, intense under the heater. They've got that ability to move, whereas circles often restrict that. It's much harder for you guys to really see when the birds are overheating. It's very easy when they're underheated and they're cooling because the chicks will pile up.